Hey everyone, this is Tiqqle, and in this video we're going over the enhanced shaman changes in the latest build in Shadowlands, particularly around Ascendance. Ascendance now, it's still on the GCD, I'm sorry, but when you press it, you're going to do a big AoE, and it's going to kickstart your damage into your burst. This will help you in PvE, this will help you in PvP. You can actually use this ability as a big AoE now, because it pulses a big AoE doing about 4.5k damage, which is similar to a Chain Harvest. Using that and a Chain Harvest back-to-back could be really big burst as well. So with that being said, guys, we're going to jump right into it, but I want to thank a lot of you for all the crazy support you've been giving me on the streams and on the channel. And if you guys haven't subbed yet, and I know 75% of you haven't, I hope by the end of this video I can convince you to press that sub button. Let's jump into it. What we can see is that for Enhancement, they fixed the bug that had Maelstrom stacking to 5 times, but because it really still stacks to 10, no big deal. The big change is that Ascendance transform into an air ascendant for 15 seconds. This is the difference. Immediately dealing 250% attack power, nature damage to the enemy within 8 yards. So it does, like, similar to Resto, which Resto on previously, you press it, does a big AoE healing, like kind of circle, right? And so with that, that was one of the reasons why Blizzard said that they didn't put that off the GCD. Well, now Blizzard has followed through with that statement and making Ascendance for each of the specs, Enhance and yes, Ellie also has a special effect going on with Ascendance. Enhance specifically, though, this is going to do AoE damage around us. And now how much damage is this really? Well, let's go ahead and jump in game and I'll show you. Otherwise, general, this is basically nothing. So let's go ahead and jump right into it and I will show you how much damage that really is. Because when we look in game, what we see, and when we highlight the talent, is we see that it, even on the tooltip, says it's 4,274 nature damage. That's key. Nature damage. Well, Tiqqle, what else does Enhancement Shaman have that's nature damage? Or nature damage enhancing? Well, I don't know. Their mastery. Everything about their mastery could enhance this as well, increasing that nature damage that you deal, as well as fire, frost, other elements. Oh, there's also a legendary. The legendary on your feet. Now, don't get ahead of yourself. We actually tested it out. The legendary doesn't affect it, but that actually seems like an incorrect thing. You know what I mean? It really should, because it technically is a nature spell, but I think it was in a post that not everything is quite working with the Ascendance damage right now. So keep that in mind. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into testing this out. I'll show you how it works. And if you guys ever want to come, if you ever have questions about things, definitely come by the stream. So what you have to remember on the Enhanced Shaman, the good old Enhanced Shaman, is that Ascendance and Bloodlust, while Bloodlust and PvP is on the GCD, which is a little sad, but at least this is going to give us a little bit of kind of snap damage when we pop this huge cooldown. Now again, I can get my momentum going, put my Wind Fury Totem down. Wind Fury Totem is actually bugged on the beta right now. And so I can get, looking with very visceral Tiqqle, nice. So when we're getting ready to burst, what we would want to do is we'd want to, and I'll try to go over here. Maybe it'll clear the area a little bit so you can see what it looks like. So what you're going to see, and I'll just press it in 3, 2, 1. That's what it looked like. Pretty cool. I'll put it in slow motion right now so that you can see it again. It puts out a big kind of shockwave of AoE, similar to what Crash Lightning looks like with Crashing Storms equipped. Not that anyone ever goes this talent, but that's what it does. And now I'm just doing big damage. So now you might ask yourself, well, Tiqqle, how much damage did that do when it popped? Well, let's take a quick look. When I look, the Ascendance pop itself, by the way, it's AoE. I was in an area where it only hit one thing, right? But it does not look like it's target capped, which is actually a big deal when you talk about AoE in Mythics, or, well, any AoE these days, right? So with this, when I pressed Ascendance, it did 4.4k damage. Now you might say, Tiqqle, that doesn't sound like a lot. Well, you only have 25k health, so technically that's almost about 20% of your HP pool. Almost. Now, what else you might say hits similar to that? Well, I can tell you Storm Strike tooltip only hits for 2k. And this hit for 4.4 normal, no crits, 2k. And also a reminder, this will scale off mastery, so depending on how much mastery, this will go up and up and up. So that's pretty nice as well. Night Fae has a conduit as well that does scale up, or give them a certain percentile of mastery. That will synergize with this pretty well, and that could be a play. I'm going to have to investigate that probably on stream. But yeah, so that's that. So what else does that type of damage? Well, Chain Harvest does do 4.6k damage to each target that it hits, and it doesn't currently scale with Maelstrom Weapon. So that's something else that'll do a similar type of damage. But what you even could do is you could hard even cast it and then pop it at the end. That's what I've been doing with Ellie to kind of get that combo damage together. Now, so the cooldown will come up here back in a second, but this is something that is pretty important for PvP specifically. Ascendance has often been taken, but it usually feels like a very slow-moving, rolling burst cycle. And now, instead, what we have is immediately snap damage, which is really big because there's the whole shift of moving away from the GCDs on certain melee DPS is great. Like, it's going to make them feel like they're going to pop their cooldowns and do attacks right away. Now, Enhance is going to be the exact same, and we already have so many buttons to press, right? So many buttons to press. But now we just press Ascendance, and that already gets the ball rolling immediately. Now, I've tested this out in a Mythic. It felt good. Did it feel like Elemental Spirits? Elemental Spirits is kind of like an RNG. An RNG thing. So Ascendance itself actually felt like I was doing AoE damage. Now it's kind of weird to pop this on an AoE pack, but that 4.6k, 4.4k damage is pretty decent, and especially when this is on a tier, that's pretty good. Now you might be asking yourself, well, Tiqqle, it's a 3-minute cooldown. That kind of sucks, right? Well, you're not wrong. It kind of does suck for that, right? And you love to get this proccing over and over because it would be doing that AoE damage. Well, here's the thing. If you didn't know this, there's a legendary. Legendary using Storm Strike has a 5% chance to activate Ascendance. And you might say to yourself, there's no way that could work. And technically you're right, because right now it's bugged on the beta. I want it to work, but it will not work. No matter how many times I spam Storm Strike, it has not worked a single time for me. That's unfortunate. It does work for Elemental, so we do know it does work in terms of proccing the Ascendance form. But for now, we have to just make believe that I'm popping in and out of Ascendance and dropping a ton of procs. Because every time I would proc it, it would do the AoE. We're assuming. We haven't been able to test it yet. So that's just another way that we're going to be able to do potentially some bursty damage, kind of on an RNG basis. Not to mention we'll do it again here, right? Like if I'm going to pop Bloodlust, right? I'm going to Ascend, and then I'm going to start doing my Wind Strikes, right? I can cleave, I can do my Sunders, my Wind Strikes, my Chain Harvests, right? We're going to be able to do a lot of damage now, hopefully on a pretty quick basis, a little burstier than before, because we're able to give that without kind of forecasting that we're going to be doing that burst in PvP. And in PvE, it's just going to be a good way to immediately do damage. We don't have to click quite as many globals to get the ramping process going, and we're waiting, right? It's going to quickly get the ball rolling in terms of at least damage numbers on the charts. So with that being said, let's go ahead and look at some of the numbers again to see Ascendance hitting, like I said, one target. Okay, actually I pressed it one time and it hit 2 targets. One time it crit for 9.3k. Nothing hits that hard. Chain Harvest hit for 5k. Normal hit 3 different times. Wind Strike itself hitting for, it hits a main hand and an offhand, right? So one of the if we take the average is like almost 2k, and then another 600, that's like about 2.5k. So that's relatively how much damage it's doing. So it's actually pretty good. So imagine you're able to get that pop, you're able to get some Wind Strikes off that are doing more damage than your Storm Strikes are for sure, right? Like looking at Storm Strike damage, it looks like kind of sad, but altogether, like it's going to be pretty bursty. So I think in PvP, this is actually potentially a viable legendary once it actually works, but it doesn't actually work right now. So that's just something to think about. There have been a few other things that are going on though. Ascendance is really the biggest thing, and as you saw in the patch notes, that was what was called out, but there's actually something else that was highlighted by Blizzard, which has to do with the feral spirits. So it was called out by Blizzard in a blue post, and you can see it here on the screen. I'll put the link down below. Feral spirits are a bit weak right now, and the talented version has some issues where different elemental wolves don't interact with some abilities that they should. So what they're saying is that the wolves are just overall weak, and it sounds like maybe they're considering increasing the damage of our wolves, which is a great, very welcome thing for them to do. A lot of people have been talking about these wolves doing utility, like for example, potentially the wolves healing you, or the wolves doing more damage, or the wolves giving you damage reduction, or yeah, like those are all different options they could be doing. And to be honest, they could use the feral wolves as a way to soak damage. You split the damage, 20% of your damage goes to the feral wolves, something like that, or the healing is a good option, or them actually doing damage would be great. And then this elemental spirits is a very RNG talent, but there's actually some pretty fun builds you can run with it, having to do with, where is it, there's a legendary that is increased maelstrom chance by 5%. When you gain maelstrom at all, you get a reduced cooldown of feral spirits. You get that up like every 15-20 seconds. It's actually pretty fun. It would be nice to use and play around with to see how it is. But Ascendance right now is really the kind of where the focus is, but it's nice for them to at least just call it feral spirit in general is kind of being brought up. Now, there's some other blue posts about some other about LA Shaman that we'll get into in the next video, but I think we'll end it here, guys. If you guys have anything else that you want to know that changed or anything like that, let me know. The Wind Fury totem is bugged right now. It's not doing anything for my party. It's not doing anything for me. Hopefully that gets changed really soon. But I just want to thank you guys so much for the love and support. This has been absolutely insane. The streams have been nutty. Let me know if you continue to have questions, if you continue to have anything, wondering how anything works on the beta. I'm happy to help you out. And with that being said, guys, we'll see you on the stream or in the next one. Have a good one, everybody.